So how do you fundamentally reshape an entire nation? Today, we're going to dive into a pretty bold blueprint for transforming Bangladesh, and it all comes down to a deep, strategic reform of its constitution. Let's get into it.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the core challenges the nation is up against. Then, we'll introduce the really ambitious proposal at the center of all this, something called Article-29. From there, we'll dig into the key ideas of balance and the separation of powers, and we'll see how it all comes together in a powerful call for unity.
Okay, so first things first, we need to set the stage. Why is there a need for such a massive change in the first place? What's the problem we're even trying to solve here?
Wow, that's a pretty heavy statement, right? But it really frames the whole conversation. Basically, it's saying the country is at this major fork in the road. And just tweaking things a little bit, well, that's just not going to cut it anymore. The challenges are so big, you have to rethink everything from the ground up.
So what are these challenges? The proposal points to these four deep-rooted issues. It calls them shadows that are holding the nation back. Things like systemic corruption and social injustice that persist despite the spirit of the people. And that right there, that's the why. That's the core problem this whole new vision is trying to fix.
All right, so we've got the problem on the table. Now let's talk about the proposed solution. And it all comes from one really ambitious source.
And this is it. The book is called The Architects of Tomorrow. And the key thing here is that it's not just a book that complains about what's wrong. Nope. It's presented as a full-on strategic plan for what to do next. It's part Big Ideas Manifesto and part step-by-step roadmap.
And that's a really important distinction, right? This isn't just some academic thought experiment. The author, Guru Delor Hossain, is putting himself forward as a planner, someone who has actually thought through the nuts and bolts of building a more prosperous state from scratch.
And let me tell you, the goal here is huge. We are not talking about small, incremental changes. The whole point is to transform Bangladesh into a global leader in stability and progress, putting it on the same level as countries like Japan, Finland, and Singapore. I mean, that's a seriously ambitious target.
So how on earth do you even begin to do something that big? Well, according to this plan, you start at the very foundation. You start with the Constitution.
And this right here is the absolute core of the whole idea. It's called Article-29, which basically means Article 29. It's a proposal for a commission for constitutional reform. What's cool is you can even see the idea in the logo itself. You've got the scales of justice, the pillars of government. It's all pointing toward one thing: balance.
Yep, and this quote just nails it. This is the whole mission statement in one sentence. It's all about making sure no single part of the government gets way too powerful. It's about spreading that power out and keeping it in check.
Okay, balance of power sounds good, but what does it actually mean? How would it work in practice? Well, it's all built on a classic idea in how governments are supposed to be structured. The first big concept is something you've probably heard of: checks and balances. Think of it like a safety feature that's built right into the system. Each part of the government has the ability to limit the power of the others, to make sure no one person or group can just run away with all the control.
And why does this matter so much? Well, the argument is that when power isn't balanced, that's exactly where you get the corruption and injustice we talked about at the beginning. So by putting these checks in place, the goal is to get better governance, make sure leaders are actually accountable, and, prevent the whole system from sliding into a dictatorship.
This slide lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got the problem. All the power is piled up in one spot, with the prime minister and cabinet. It's totally off balance. And on the other side, you've got the solution. Spread that power out, give some more responsibilities to the president or to the parliament, and create a system that's actually stable and balanced. Now, this whole idea of balance is held up by a very specific and pretty classic structure for the government itself. And that brings us to the second big idea: the separation of powers. Now, this is related to checks and balances, but it's more about the basic layout of the government. The idea is simple. You split the government into three separate, distinct branches, and each one has its own specific job to do. And here's how that breaks down. You've got the executive, their job is to implement the laws. You've got the legislative, they make the laws. And then you have the judicial branch, they interpret the laws. See? Make, implement, interpret. 3 different jobs for 3 different branches, all staying in their own lane.
But here's the trick. They're separate, but they're not totally isolated. They have to work together, kind of like gears in a machine. They need to mesh perfectly, checking and balancing each other so that the whole government runs smoothly and actually serves the people. All right, so we've been deep in the weeds of government structure. But the plan ends by zooming way out, from all the technical stuff to something much bigger, something much more human.
And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The point is, you can have the best constitution and the best government structure in the world, but that's not enough. For real change to happen, for it to actually stick, you need everybody on the same page, pulling in the same direction.
So at the end of the day, this whole book is really an urgent call for everyone to get involved. It's not a top-down order. It's a pitch for a massive team project. It's saying that everybody, from regular citizens to the most powerful leaders, has a part to play. Building a better future? That's on everyone.
And that leaves us with this one big question to think about. This plan offers one detailed blueprint, for sure, but ultimately, it's also a challenge to every single one of us. What does it really take to build the kind of nation you want to live in? It's about more than just rules and structures, right? It's about people and spirit and figuring out what it truly takes to bring all of that together.